Alright, hello, and welcome to a Dragon Warrior Monsters 2 International Community Race. I am Anatoly. I'm doing restream and commentary, so if I am just kind of at the beginning here, a little quiet while I'm getting everything set up, just understand I'm trying to make sure everything is good for the rest of the race. Our runners will be starting in just about 2 minutes here. Once the clock changes over to 7 p.m. Pacific and all of their various other time zones we're working in today. So we've got, this is going to be a fun race. As you can see, we've got 6 runners on the screen. 2 of these runners are from Japan. We've got Crimson and Kyusan, honobonokyu. And then we've got a bunch of runners here in the US, ErrorOfRuto, Haktical, TheCowness, and Xytoriak. I know from talking to several of these people and watching practice that I know we're going to see some different strategies, and you're also going to see some differences between the English version and the Japanese version, as well as the differences between playing this on Super Game Boy versus the Nintendo GameCube Game Boy player. Alright, that looks like we're probably just about to start in 30 seconds or so. I'm going to make sure we've got a good countdown here. I think we're good, though. Okay, and I think we are counting it down and going. I'm just gonna go in, watching for when I see some people hit it, and start the timer. Oh, where is my timer? Didn't start. Oh, my live split froze. Very nice. Well, if we don't get a timer, we'll still have a race, so I'm not gonna stress about it too much. Sometimes your live split just freezes. Usually that happens if your name is ErrorOfRuto. It doesn't usually happen to me. We always like to joke when we're watching Error's streams about how he gets world record by several hours, because his live split will freeze on him at some undetermined point in the run. Okay, that's not the right splits. Open some timer. This timer. Alright. Yeah, we're about 40 seconds late on that, but I think it's going to be okay. Alright, so here at the beginning of Monsters 2, we have just kind of the intro scene here in the kind of main village Great Log, which is sort of your hub world for Dragon Warrior Monsters 2. Already you can see a couple things just from the capture. So you see Crimson and Kyusan's screens kind of have a little bit more of that old school monocolor look. That's because they are playing on Super Game Boy, whereas everyone else has the Nintendo GameCube Game Boy player that has a lot more of the Game Boy colors available to it. So kind of at the very beginning here, you just sort of get introduced to Prince Kamea and Warabu, who is the mischievous spirit of Great Log. And we're just trying to get this nut pie that our mom asked us to grab and bring it back home, and these guys are going to cause a bunch of trouble for us, which is eventually going to lead into the thing that starts the whole caper, the whole crusade here. So this whole intro sequence takes about 5.5 minutes before we get into the first main world in Monsters 2, which is the desert or oasis world. And starting then, we're going to have actually quite a bit of action. This is a relatively short run. It's going to be finished in about 2 to 2.5 hours for all of our runners. And there's a lot that happens in that time span, so there'll be plenty for us to talk about. And I'm just going to take my opportunity here to try to make a couple of these captures just look a little bit nicer. Alright, so all of the shenanigans of the Waribu and Prince Kamea have made the plug of Great Log get lost, and so now the island will sink unless we can find a new plug to replace that one. Meanwhile, Waribu is going to hang out in the hole there, which is where he's going to be throughout the entire run. So as we're kind of getting going here, some things to look for. Our two most experienced runners by quite a while are ErrorOfRuto and Haktical. Some of you may remember that Haktical ran this game RPG Limit Break 2023, and he and ErrorOfRuto just spent a lot of the year trading the record for this game back and forth and iterating on a lot of strategies. TheCowness knows a lot about this game and actually ran it several years ago. Haktical, Error, and I all kind of learned from TheCowness's notes and things that he told us about the run. Xytoriak is definitely a newer runner to this game on the English side, and both Crimson and Fusan, as far as I know, are both really new and just learned the run for this event. So it's going to be interesting. When I was talking to Crimson, I also heard that he is planning on doing something that's a little bit of an older route compared with what you'll see from the Western runners as to some specific monster recruits. So we'll see how it all kind of plays out. It's going to be interesting. We have Error and Haktical very evenly going into the Oasis world together there. The most important thing is to change your text speed to fast. Yep, don't want to forget to do that. Makes kind of a difference. And our first objective here is going to be to capture at least one of these wild monsters outside in Oasis. So either a Cactoball or a Spot Slime is what we're looking for. Every time that they are defeated without throwing any meat at them or anything like that, we have it's a 42% chance with the Spot Slime and 30% chance of the Cactoball to just have them automatically join. I see Q-San there has already gotten his Cactoball, very nice. Northrex, I think that the Japanese version would have a language advantage just because of the text speed. However, because the runners are also playing on Super Game Boy, you can actually see it. The loading times are quite a bit worse on Super Game Boy, which has to do, I think, with the kind of custom border that Super Game Boy has. So I think that, if anything, the Japanese runners probably have a disadvantage. I think that loading time is going to be worse overall than the faster text. You can see the text in this game, in the English version as well, it goes by pretty quick. You have a lot of instant generation of the messaging. Alright, so the next thing that our runners are doing here, you see Error doing it, walking around in this well in the first town. He's trying to catch a giant worm. And so this is actually one of the biggest impacts that we've seen as we've actually worked on this run over the last half year. And something we know is going to be a big impact on the run. The level that the giant worm joins you at turns out to be a really, really impactful thing to kind of your remaining time. This also is going to be a big deal when it comes to version differences between Terra and Kobe. So you can see that I think ErrorHack, Xytoriak, and TheCowness are all running the Terra version of this game. I know Crimson is running Kobe, and let me look and see. I think that Qson is also running Kobe. Oh, I see Crimson found a friend staff, though. We will talk about friend staffs in a little bit, but that's a great find for Crimson. Very, very nice. So let me get back to Giant Worm real quick. So for Giant Worm on Terra version, the worm can join at levels 1 through 5, and you actually really want the worm to join at a lower level. Because essentially, whether the worm joins at level 1, or if it joins at level 5, it's going to come with basically the same stats. There's no difference. But the difference is, a level 1 worm gets to level 2 much easier than a level 5 worm gets to level 6. So it's actually going to grow a lot faster if it joins at low level. You can see that Haktical got his worm and is already dancing for the king there. Very nice. I did not catch what level the worm joined at, but see if we can notice once he gets into some encounters in a minute here. Error, meanwhile, still looking for that worm recruit in the well. Qson here was able to get 2 monsters to join outside of town, so going and doing the dancing scene before recruiting a worm, which also makes sense. Alright, Xytoriak has gotten a worm. It is level 4. Probably thinking about whether to keep it here and deciding to take it. Yep. Moving on. So an advantage with Terra here is that the Kobe worm doesn't join at those lowest levels. I think maybe the lowest level the worm can join on Kobe is level 3 or level 4. I'm not exactly sure which. So they actually don't have an opportunity to get that really strong giant worm, which is going to be important for a lot of the first few boss battles in the game. The impacts that has really kind of made it so Terra is the definitive version of this game to run now, whereas before it didn't seem to make too much of a difference. Yeah, he's steady. Yep, made it in time to watch the race live. Very good. We've got a very comfy Saturday evening race here, or Sunday afternoon if you're in Japan. Alright, so Haktical kind of going into the first really small dungeon here. TheCowness as well. And so this is the, basically the underwater system for the Oasis here, where we are going to find that a Beavern monster is damming up all of the water. We've got to go fight it so that it can release the water, and it's basically going to tell us that it got chased out of its home in the Oasis by some bad dudes. We'll go take care of them afterward, but first we gotta fight the Beavern. I see that Haktical got a Mad Candle recruit there. That's actually pretty cool. It is, having the Mad Candle there is kind of like a safety for the very early game, especially this Beavern fight. It can help you get through that a little bit faster, especially since it has the Blaze spell. I also see that I think Haktical's worm joined at either level 1 or level 2, so yeah, Haktical kind of getting the early good luck here for the run. Very nice. Error took a while to get his worm, but he's got it. He's going to go dance for the king now. And Error is the current record holder. He's played this game by far the most, and so he can catch up. I wouldn't worry too much about him. We'll see where he goes, but don't be too worried about it. Alright, Haktical in his Beavern fight here. One thing you might see the runners try to do, because there is experience funneling in this game, is try to keep it so the monster that survives boss fights is the worm in particular. For Haktical, that would be Mui in that second place spot. Just so they can get a little bit more experience on the character they're trying to keep. But having that Mad Candle, Haktical actually just totally blasted through the beaver and fight. So everyone is completely alive there. Saw a critical hit come through too, so it's pretty quick. Can't argue with that. We have Q-san going into his beaver and fight here as well. Entering in with not quite as strong of a party, but his monsters will actually get more experience by not having everybody live through the boss fight. Yeah, never race Haktical. That's those of us who have lost races to Haktical sometimes say that to ourselves. Alright, so we're looking for this kind of legendary treasure in each of these worlds that we're going to go to, with the idea that maybe this legendary treasure can be the thing that will plug up the hole at the bottom of Great Log. So here in Desert, the item is the Tidal Bell, and while we're not going to see it successfully plug up the hole, it will allow us to have a new form of transportation that helps us navigate each of the following worlds. So the world after this one is the pirate world, and we'll actually end up using the Tidal Bell to sail around in that world. But it's not going to be as easy as just undamming the water. We are going to have to go take the Oasis back before we can actually earn our Tidal Bell. So Haktical going there, into the jail, giving some beef jerky to a prisoner who was one of the thieves, and he's going to tell him how to use the water call item to make the hideout at the Oasis appear. Meanwhile, Q-san there, took a different order there at the beginning, but grabbed a worm. Q is interesting. I've not watched him do any practice. I already see some route differences here early on though, taking the spooky from the well, and it looks like probably relying on Slash the slime to do a lot of the early lifting for some of these fights. Both Crimson and Q-san will be relying more on Slash, actually quite a bit later into the game than you'll see from any of the English runners, just because of their routing differences, which are going to become a lot more apparent in the next world in Pirate. Alright, Haktical kind of taking on the final boss of the Oasis world here. This is Curse Lamp. With Curse Lamp, the thing you really don't want to see is it cast upper on itself a whole bunch. So we are hoping, yeah, there's one. Just one or two is not too bad, but if you see a bunch early on in the fight, it can really make the fight kind of drag on there. Alright, Haktical has successfully gotten his Mad Candle killed off there. He's going to want Sulo to live through this fight. Ooh, that was super scary with the critical hit. Fortunately, his worm was healed up enough there to live through that, but that was... You really don't want the lamp to crit. It's a pretty low chance. I think in all my runs, I've only gotten a critical hit from the lamp once, so it's pretty rare. But yeah, he's down to just the worm, but he's got plenty of herbs to finish out the fight here. I think he'll probably be alright. There goes the lamp. Most important is don't say no when the Curse Lamp asks to join you at the end of the fight. If you do, you cannot ask it to join you again, and it's going to be really helpful to us at the very beginning of the next world, when we fight the Hood Squid. You don't want to say no to the lamp, even though it's pretty easy if you just happen to be mashing B as that fight is ending, which I know I've done it, or if you happen to be rotating the D-pad, because that's another way to make this hexed advance in this Game Boy Color game. And then you might just accidentally confirm no, which you also wouldn't want to do. Basically, there's a lot more ways to say no than there are ways to say yes, which is interesting, right? But yeah, Haktical taking care of that lamp at about 17.5 minutes is... You have to remember, my timer started about a minute late, is really fast. That's like he's probably on PB pace, at least for the early game here. So really great start for Haktical there. He is flying through this early game. Meanwhile, we have Kusan entering his lamp fight right now, along with Error. Pretty much neck and neck, the two of them. Xytoriak not too far behind, just about to go into it. TheCowness, I think TheCowness might have forgotten his water call. So going back to get that. I think that all of us at some point in time have forgotten to grab the water call before we go to the boss fight. Pretty easy one to forget. Crimson, a little bit of a slower start there, currently in his Beavern fight and going through that. But you see Haktical, before moving on in the game, he's coming back into the Oasis world. What we do here is we come into the well, we grab a bookmark, which is, it's kind of like a save anywhere item, and we'll use that in the next world when we're recruiting a certain monster. He's also going to grab this wind staff. The wind staff is the main reason to kind of come back into this well, because it sells for a lot of money. And one thing Haktical does different from some of the rest of us is he grabs this exit bell when he's sailing back through instead of walking through. I actually like this. It's probably the better way to do it, because since you're a higher level at this point, you can run from certain fights guaranteed. So it's a little faster to take the extra steps sailing around on that tidal bell instead of walking around without it. Ooh, Error died to the lamp. Ouch. He's looking at his... How many herbs do I have left? I've only got one herb in inventory. Probably thinking about how he can survive that fight without a lot of healing. Dying to the lamp is pretty awkward. Here in the early game, you don't have a lot of extra money or healing resources, so I think he's looking around the world map for herbs right now. He doesn't need too many to get through the fight, but he's gonna need a few. Yeah, definitely a setback. It's tough. But Lamp is tough. I didn't exactly see what happened with his fight there, but as we saw with Haktical, occasionally the Lamp can do critical hits, so it's always possible Error just got surprised. Error does have a kind of unbridled aggression strats, so he probably was down to one monster that he was trying to funnel the experience onto, and maybe just got unlucky. Alright, so after getting those items, getting some money, doing some shopping, we also go and talk to the Beavern, who joins our party. So the party that Haktical kind of has going into this next section is Giant Worm, Curse Lamp, and Beavern. We're going to take this into the arena. That's kind of this is, unlike Monsters 1, this is the only time we actually have to go fight in the arena in the whole speedrun. The rest of the run is really focused on completing these other worlds, and getting kind of these legendary items you try to plug the hole in Great Log with. But the tournament that you do have to fight here, this is obviously the entry-level tournament round, is honestly just not very interesting. It's very free. You just have your monsters on attack, and they're gonna totally overwhelm all these early monsters. So there's a couple things that these monsters can do to waste your time, like that Pearl Gel can cast heal. There's a dance veggie in one of the following matches that can dance and waste some turns, but overall it's pretty small for sure. Alright, TheCowness has gotten his Curse Lamp fight done, and is back in Great Log. Xytoriak fighting Beavern. Alright, and Kusan there getting the Beavern recruit as well, so not too far behind Haktical. Yeah, at this point, still a really nice kind of race for first there between honobonokyu and haktical, so that's cool to see, with all the differences in versions and everything. Very nice. Alright, haktical successfully won the kids class. The big accomplishment, and your reward for winning kids class is to get the pirate key. So just like the name suggests, that is going to allow us to enter the next world, which is the pirate world. And there's not really much else for us to do right now. So just going for it. Alright, Error, just because of that bad healing item situation, opting to reset back to his save, which he took before he recruited the giant worm. So, tough break for Error there. But, yeah, like I said, in a race setting, dying to the lamp there is really tough to recover from, so I totally get why he's doing this. And really, in the end, it's only about 10 minutes, which for someone like Error, he could still pull it out of this with a really nice position. The run's not too long, but it's still, you know, there's still plenty of run left, and Error is a top-tier runner this game, so plenty of room left to recover if he gets the right worm recruit, especially. Alright, so Haktical is here in Pirate World now. You saw he went ahead and did what we call the friend staff manipulation. I'll talk about that a little bit more when someone else gets to it. The first thing that he's doing after that is he's going here to the Hood Squid Cave, and he is gonna fight Squiz. So this is one of the routes that you'll see on the English version that you are not going to see on the Japanese versions. They are not going to take this route. So Squiz here is actually a pretty tough fight. We, it's part of our Oasis revisit, completely loaded up with herbs, just absolutely filled all of our inventory slots with them. Because this is a slog. You take this immediately once you enter Pirate. But with this party, you can definitely handle it. You just end up healing most turns, and you are using that Curse Lamp to cast Upper on your characters so that they can absorb some damage to help you survive this fight. But you play this right, you just kind of be patient, and you'll be able to beat Squiz, and we'll actually just keep him as a monster in our party for the entire rest of the run. He doesn't end up being super useful at the very end, but he is helpful for quite a bit of it. Ooh. Tactical losing his, I think that was his worm. No, his worm is the level 10 in front. So that was probably his lamp. In that case, that's actually not too bad. You kind of want your lamp to die sometime in this quiz fight because we don't want it to get any more experience. We're done. After this fight, we have no more use for the lamp, so all good from here. And we do need Beano to gain some levels because we want to breed Beano later on to get our Grizzly. And so you need your monsters to be level 10 before they are eligible to breed. That's important for Beano to live through this one and get some experience. Yeah, that's right, Purple Mario coming in with the worst emote on Twitch. Thanks for that, PM. Alright. Yeah, no, that's great. We appreciate it. TheCowness going into his arena battles. We've got Xytoriak in the Curse Lamp fight. And Q-san going into Pirate. TheCowness is vibing. Yeah, nice. When you are in the arena, you just hold down A. Just let it roll. Feels good. Alright, Haktical has completed the Squiz fight there. Like I said, it's a long one, it's tough. But Squiz now joined the party. You can see that Haktical still has that friend staff, so while he's kind of moving on to the next couple things here, let me talk about friend staffs. So the friend staff is an item that when you use it on one of your monsters, it effectively casts the twin hits spell, or by-kill. So it'll double the attack of the monster. However, because it's a staff item, it's got a 50% chance to break when you use it. So you might see a runner opt to use that in the Squiz fight to try to make it go by a little bit faster, but then you risk it breaking. And the other big boss fight you have to complete in this area, the Captain Dead fight, is one that you really want to have a friend staff for. It's pretty dangerous. So you can see kind of Haktical has made that calculation, decided he would rather have it for the Captain Dead fight for sure, and just sort of take a slower but safer Squiz fight, which makes sense, especially since he's in the lead. He doesn't need to take those kinds of risks. Haktical there, recruiting one of the two monsters you need to progress the story. So he recruited the army ant there. While we are walking around here in Oasis around this time, we are looking for an army ant and we are looking for a mad gopher. And both of those are needed just to get the key to the next world. They're both relatively easy to recruit. They're both like a 95% chance if you throw beef jerky at them, so fortunately they're easy, and they're pretty easy to run into as well. Hey, Giant Penguin. Yeah, welcome in. Yeah, I really loved the Monsters games on Game Boy when I was a kid. I think a lot of us did, and they're games that many of us spent a lot of time with, right? Because it's about a 2-hour speed run, but you know, it's the kind of game you could have spent 100 hours on if you were recruiting all the monsters and doing all the breeding and all that stuff. Yeah, Purple Mario, if you were able to share the Discord link, that's cool. If I need to do it, I can also do it. Yeah, this is, I'd say having so many of us running the game is probably relatively new. Most of us picked it up in the last year and a half. Yeah, thanks, PM. Fortunately, it is a pretty easy speedrun to pick up and learn, honestly, as someone who did it not too long ago. And I also put up some notes that should make the run a little bit easier for other people to learn as well, and that's available in the compendium, which is on the Discord that Purple Mario linked there. So yeah, it's a really cool speedrun, and you know, the Monsters games are awesome. Alright, Haktical kind of advancing through the story here in Pirate. So he's got to do a little dance to impress the mermaids so he can come talk to the Mermaid Queen here. That's something that you need to have a monster who can dance in order to do that. That's one reason we recruit Squiz when we do. He is a monster that satisfies that. And looks like Haktical probably hasn't found his Mad Gopher yet, so he is going to walk around a little bit longer before he sails off to the ghost ship, which is the next area. Ooh, I see Xytoriak finding a friend staff there on the ground on his Oasis revisit. That's a couple people who have gotten that lucky friend staff find. Very cool. Friend staff is a pretty rare drop in Oasis, so seeing 2 runners find it is actually pretty unlikely, but definitely helpful for both of them. If you have an extra one, plus the one that you can manipulate when you first enter Pirate, then you don't have to worry about risking one when you're fighting Squiz or at some other point as well, which is pretty cool. Alright, Haktical finally finding his Mad Gopher there. I'm sure that's a relief for him, and he's going to sail off for the ghost ship. Meanwhile, Huson, recruiting his other monster as well, got the army ants, and so that's both the ones he needed. Yusan, I think, like I mentioned before, is taking the different route there. So you see the third monster in his party there is not a hood squid, but it is. He's got Slash the Slime, he's got the Beavern, and then he's actually picked up an Octokid. So Octokid is kind of like I mentioned, that's a little bit of an older route. So cool to see it here in this race. And the Octokid satisfies the dance requirement, so we're able to get in here to see the mermaids. It keeps you from having to do that pretty difficult hood squid fight. And it can cast the heal spell. So that's all kind of nice. The downside is it's not as strong of a monster once it's joined your party. So you aren't able to rely on it for some of the big physical damage and some of the things that you'll see our runners do with squids there. Alright, so TheCowness here, working on doing the friend staff manip. So what? I can just talk about this really quick. I don't think that he got it there, so he's probably going to be resetting. So basically, the items on the world map will generate in certain spots. It looks like he's just going to move on. On the frame that you enter the world map from that initial shrine. So we've got it kind of mapped out thanks to some data right back from Xytoriak, actually. Where if you take a certain number of steps after kind of mashing through getting the game loaded, then you're going to be in the right frame window that when you walk outside, you're hopefully going to be able to find either, depending on your choice, a friend staff or a world leaf, which is the item that lets you revive. So it's a pretty quick and easy one to do, especially since it's so fast to save and load in this game, because it's a Game Boy game. And it'll definitely save you, a minute in a boss fight, plus some safety, having a stronger monster to use it. You can see here in the Captain Dead fight that Haktical is in, he used it on... Looks like he used it on Squiz, because Squiz is dealing 24 damage. Oh, he used it on Sulo. No, he used it on his worm in the back. Yeah, level 13 worm, got the friend staff, dealing 42 damage. Yeah, there you go. It's gonna make this Captain Dead fight fairly trivial for him. Very nice. And this is the last boss fight we have to deal with in the pirate area. We do have to do a little bit more adventuring before we can actually finish out the area, but last boss fight we have to deal with. There is one big RNG obstacle coming up for everybody in Pirate, including the Japanese runners on the Octokid Aquarella route, which is what we're going to see as their kind of secondary monster instead of the hood squid. And that big RNG obstacle is going to be recruiting a female Dark Eye. So, in order to create the Grizzly, which is pretty kind of notorious monster in the Monsters games for just having extremely high physical attack, and everything else sort of doesn't matter. In order to make that, we're gonna breed our Beavern with a Dark Eye, and because the Beavern is a monster that joins you as part of a story kind of plot line, you know that Beano the Beavern is always male. So we are looking specifically for a female Dark Eye to recruit to breed. So in the next dungeon that Haktical goes in after he sets this moon rock on the tower and increases the sea level, he is going to be trying to recruit that female Dark Eye. One thing that's kind of an advantage here in Monsters 2 versus the original Monsters game is you can actually know, if you know the formations, what gender a monster is going to be before you recruit it. There we go, we saw Xytoriak with a successful friend staff manip there, very nice. So the runners will have kind of a list, like a reference list in front of them that shows, okay, here are, if I see a Dark Eye in this formation and, in this spot in the formation, I know it's going to be a female, so that one is worth trying to recruit. Whereas in other ones, it would be obviously, you would know it's not a female, so you would reset and then try to find a different one. And sometimes it takes a while to find the right formation, so this is a big a big RNG place, a lot of speed runs, kind of live or die by what happens right here, so always kind of an anxious moment when you're a runner coming up to this one. But yeah, we'll see how it goes for our runners in the lead. Also, we've got 2 hood squids on screen right now. Wow. That's really something. So much hood squid. Alright, so you see Haktical letting his repellent wear off right there, and he's using the bookmark to save his game, so he's gonna walk around right here and look for that dark eye. This is pretty much the end of the chapter, so after you recruit the dark eye, ooh, yeah, nice, he got a really, really great formation immediately there. It's a female dark eye paired up with a slabbit, so just one other monster to have to take care of. And when we throw a rib at a dark eye, we have about a 95% chance that it's going to join. As long as we don't have to do any healing. If you heal your monsters after you throw some meat out, you actually reduce the chance that other monsters are going to join you. One of those things you have no idea about when you're just playing the game casually, or at least I had no idea. But you have to sort of keep it in mind when you're doing the speedrun here. Yeah, Haktical immediately getting the right fight. Let's see if the dark eye wants to join. Of course it does. We'll meet the dark eye. And Haktical getting his dark eye under 40 minutes. Insane. Very nice. Haktical currently ahead of my PB here, and maybe ahead of his, I'm not sure. Meanwhile, on Crimson's screen, we see him in the fight with the Octokid. That's the monster on the right there, so he is trying to get his Octokid recruit. Something the English runners don't have to deal with. What happened there? Crimson reset. I wonder if he was in his item menu. I wonder if he didn't have the meat he needed to recruit that monster. It's also possible he just didn't like that formation the Octokid was in. That was a pretty nasty one. Yep, so Haktical just kind of grabbing his last items here. And finishing out the world. That's the end of Pirate for him. Really, really clean world there. No issues at all for Haktical. Alright, Error has finished his arena fight. He's about to head into Pirate. Crimson looking for an Octokid right now, as you can see, sailing around the water there. We've got TheCowness hearing old stories from the old man about the mermaids. He does have a dead worm right now, so he's going to have to revive that worm before he goes to do the dance scene with the mermaids. You have to have 3 living monsters anytime that you have a dancing scene in this game, which you have to do 3 times in the speedrun. So he's gonna have to go visit a priest after he does his shopping here. Yeah, so meanwhile, Haktical back in Great Log here is putting the Gopher and the Army Ant back into his party. Like I said, you have to use both those monsters to get the Ice Key. Get into Ice World. Your dad is looking for someone to help him dig, so you give him this Mad Gopher. Shovel included. And the Mad Gopher, really helpfully for us, digs up a tiny metal. It's not true that that's helpful for us because this is Monsters 2. So Haktical at some point is either going to remove that from his inventory, just throw it away, or he's just going to ignore it for the rest of the run. And it's going to take up an inventory slot. Another thing Haktical is doing that you might see Error skip is he is going to go talk to his mom and fulfill some of these errands. So the mom wants love water, a potion, a rib, and a sirloin. And what she does is she always gives you more money than the item costs. And if you just come to her with the love water, the potion, and the rib, then she'll end up giving you the money for the sirloin, and we never actually go and get it. So she gives us 1,200 gold, which she can use on healing items. And, you know, maybe eventually, after the credits roll, we end up bringing that sirloin home. It's only a couple hours, so it's not that weird. And, you know, she's our mom. She'll forgive us. We are saving the kingdom, after all. Alright, Error is in his hood squid fight here. And looks like it went totally fine. The lamp died right on schedule there. Beaver and Worm lived through it, so all good things. I see Countess in the perfect encounter here if you're trying to recruit an army ant and a mad gopher. Although I do see him targeting the mad gopher, so he's probably already gotten that monster and wants to recruit the army ant. Yep, he has the gopher in his party, I see that, because he named it Gopher. From the commentator's perspective, I really appreciate that, but ooh, the army ant did not join him. So I didn't catch if he threw a meat at it. If he did throw a beef jerky at it, then that was a 5% chance. I think he did, because he's got some in his inventory. Although, he might not have expected the monsters to wipe out both of those monsters that turn, because he did command them to attack the gopher. It's just that some of the monsters did not listen, because they have too much wild. This time he started with the meat, and the ant lived on to turn 2 anyway, so should be getting that army ant right there. Kusan, we see, is recruiting his Dark Eye right now. Definitely had a more difficult time going through Pirate than Haktical did. Some of that, I think, is because of the routing. Just having to get the Octokid instead of being able to rely on Squiz. Definitely just a little bit slower. As it is an extra monster recruit that you have to go out of your way for and go through some randomness. You also see that you have some extra steps here where you didn't have the repellent active, so he actually has to deal with this random encounter, which Haktical did not have to deal with. Alright, and here we have Haktical going into Ice World. So the last two kind of big worlds are Ice and Sky, and they're both honestly huge. There's a ton of stuff that we have to do in both of them. After he does some shopping here, Haktical is going to have to deal with the first encounter in Ice. So the first encounter in Ice is a pretty big deal for the speedrun. We have two monsters who are just newly born, newly hatched from eggs. So they are just level 1. And then we've got Squiz the Hood Squid. So right now, Haktical's got some repellent burning, so he's not worried about running into anybody quite yet. But after he goes to the spring and talks to Rubus, he's probably going to take a save back in the shrine there, just in case his first encounter in Ice doesn't go very well. You're really hoping to get an easy monster, just one monster, maybe 2, that Squiz can handle pretty easily on his own while your other 2 monsters are just kind of defending. But once they get just a little bit of experience, they're going to be really tough. Especially that Grizzly. We didn't talk too much about the breeding that Haktical did there. So I already mentioned kind of how he made the Grizzly. It was a Beavern breeding with that Dark Eye. Yeah, he's taking that safety save. Makes sense. But he's also got a new worm. It looks kind of like the old worm, but this one has been bred with another monster in Great Log. Had an Armorpede. So we now have a worm that has significantly higher defense. It's also going to be able to learn the Twin Hit skill. So, perfect complement for our bear once it learns the skill, because it'll be able to cast twin hits on the bear so the bear can hit even harder. So yeah, first fight in ice is a Hammerhood, a Yeti, and a Gulpal. Pretty tough. It's not the first fight you want, for sure. It's gonna take Haktical a minute to get through this. He's gonna be playing it safe. It's not, like, really bad news, but he's spending a lot of healing items, and yeah. Just really hoping that Squiz is able to focus. You see Weeb the Worm contributing a little bit there. If he loses one of his level 1 monsters in this fight, he would be resetting that safety save. He's down to just a Yeti now, so probably okay. This Yeti has a higher than 25% chance to hit him every time you attack, so probably going to make it through the end of this. Meanwhile, Xytoriak and Error lined up. Pretty much framed perfectly here, very nice. So you do see Error catching up from all of his troubles with the Curse Lamp earlier, and gaining some ground. Xytoriak also had definitely some trouble in the Oasis world too. Countess is in his Captain Dead fight. Looks like it's going pretty good. As long as Squiz is able to be healed at the beginning of this next turn. Well, or not. Maybe he's just letting Squiz die at this point. Oh no, he's healing. Okay. He's just stressing me out. He's just trying to stress me out. Fine. Squiz didn't get hit, so everything's okay. Yes, you are allowed to use Turbo in this run. It doesn't really do much. It's definitely one of those Dragon Quest games where it's not really helpful. The fastest way to advance text is definitely to like rotate the D-pad. But if you like to use Turbo to crank through your menus faster or something like that, and you're not afraid of progressing too many inputs, then you are free to do so. Alright, so Haktical now has some stronger monsters. Level 8 Grizzly and a level 10 Worm. So he is able to go into the mine area here. We're going to fight a Bomb Crag, who's the boss of this dungeon. And it's kind of like the Curse Lamp, in that generally it's a pretty straightforward fight, but it does have a critical hit that it can pull out at a fairly low chance. And if it happens just on the wrong turn, it can put you in some trouble for sure. Alright, Countess getting through his Captain Dead fight. No problem. Q-San going to breed with that Monster Manster I mentioned in Great Log, so this is the guy who has the Armorpede. And that's how we get the stronger, higher defense Giant Worm for the next generation. Oh, sorry, no, this is, in this route, what they do is they breed the Octokid with the Armorpede to make the Aquarella. I was thinking the way I run the game, not the way that they run the game. So yeah, that's gonna breed into a stronger aquatic monster. Does have heal spells, still gonna be able to learn twin hits from having the Armorpede parent. And I believe they take the Aquarella all the way through the end of the game. Error and Countess climbing the moon tower. Crimson's going through the ghost ship here. Yep, so I'd say overall the order is fairly similar at the front here. We've got Haktical in front. Q-San not really too far behind. Gonna be entering ice pretty soon here. Error and Countess are about tied in third place there. Both using their Moon Rock pretty much at the same time. And then Xytoriak and Crimson Well, yeah, Xytoriak's now entering the Moon Tower, so a little bit ahead of Crimson here, who is still finishing out the Ghost Ship. Alright, so we've got the next boss in Ice World coming up here for Haktical. This is going to be the Silver Devil, the Silver Bat-Boon monster from Dragon Warrior 2, if you're familiar with that one. Also called the Ag Devil. You can fill in Ag for whatever you like. Haktical not going for the memes of examining random walls for Prince Kamea to run into. Maybe somebody else will show it off for us. It's always fun to make Kamea run into the wrong wall before you let him open up the right one. Alright, we've got Error and Countess both looking for their Dark Eye recruits. Error's fight there does not have one in it. He's resetting. Haktical does have a Dark Eye formation, and it is one with the female Dark Eye in the center there, so he's going for it. It's not an easy one like what Haktical had, where it was just a Slabbit and a Dark Eye, but it's fine. Took care of the Aqua Hawk pretty quickly there. But he still has to deal with that Slabbit. Not too bad, actually. He's having a pretty smooth time with it. There we go. Oh no, Error's fight here does not have a female Dark Eye. This is a male Dark Eye. Yeah, Attorney General Devil. Yep, a good one. Which is taken down by Haktical. Not really too dangerous of a fight, but it can definitely slow you down if you use his Sleep Breath. Which sounds a lot like that Silver Bat-Boon monster, actually, when you play Dragon Warrior 2. Alright, Countess having trouble with the first formation, but here he finds the perfect formation to meet the Dark Eye in. Whenever it's alone like this, it's female, so shouldn't have any trouble with this, and he'll get the recruit. He won't get the recruit. Oh, man. That's rough. Whoops. Alright. I won't speak before the monsters join anymore. That's a lesson for me. Xytoriak also feeding ribs to Dark Eyes here. Alright, Error did get his Dark Eye recruit. See how Xytoriak's goes. Yep. Dark Eye is joining Xytoriak. Very nice. Countess getting another really nice formation there, and this one will actually join. Alright, good. Haktical showing off some monsters you actually don't see in the speedrun too often. That Nightwit monster's one you don't actually run into very often. But it was enough to get his Worm to learn Twin Hits. Perfect. Alright, we have Crimson in his Captain Dead fight here as well, so he's just about through on the Ghost Ship. He's probably almost through this fight. He's been in it for a little while. I mean, while we have Q-san entering the mine and going in for the Bomb Crag fight pretty soon. So we're actually kind of seeing the runners just sort of spread out here, with the middle of the pack there with Error, Countess, and Xytoriak. Pretty tight. They were all working on their Dark Eyes right about the same time, and now they're all finishing up Pirate at the same time, so the middle of the race is pretty close. Haktical is here dancing at about the 57-minute mark. One thing that ErrorOfRuto likes to say is if you're dancing under 1 hour, it's a really good run. The haktical is well within that benchmark. Even in kind of a race marathon where he's got some safeties. And so, yep. What we're going to do next here in ice is so basically in ice, we have to kind of fulfill a few of these main, or sort of like, they're just like a few kind of mini missions that we have to do around the whole ice area. And the one that he's doing right now is there's a queen who kind of isn't herself, and we try dancing for her, and even that somehow does not entertain her, even when our grizzly bear jumps through the flaming hoop. But it turns out that her soul is actually stuck over in this forest. So we walk past the cursed horse, and there she is. So we got to go into the middle of the forest. We'll put her soul into our inventory. We'll put it in the bag. And then we have to fight the puppeter, who is actually controlling the queen. Puppeter fight is one of those Dragon Quest fights that is either a total non-issue or a small fraction of the time it goes really badly, because it's only got 400 HP. The bear literally kills it in like 2 turns. But it does have the ability to confuse. So if it confuses the bear, then the fight goes really sideways really fast. And that's actually a little bit of a liability for the speedrun route we have here. Like, you do put all of your attack kind of offense into the bear. And so if the bear gets confused, which there are a few monsters in this game that will do confusion, it can be really scary. Including for the final boss, actually. Yeah, it's fight. That's exactly right. It's an easy fight, as long as it doesn't pull any strings. If it pulls some strings, well, we could have some issues for sure. Alright, but we start with twin hits. And, yeah, 200 damage on first turn. Puppeter is just doing physical attacks, so no problems, and down. That's how that fight usually goes. Just one of those, every once in a while it doesn't go like that. So, hopefully not to any of our 6 runners today. Meanwhile, Kusan getting through the bomb crag fight. And carrying on through ice. Yeah, what could be the problem with a confused bear? Especially if you just cast twin hits on the bear, which you probably did. Alright, Kusan about to fight his Silver Devil. Meanwhile, Error actually being the third runner to enter ice. So you can see he has recovered from that pretty harsh 10-minute reset earlier on, and yep, hoping to have a clean ice here. So Haktical going through another one of these kind of quests in the ice world here. This one we have a queen who is asleep, and we have to go to the very top of this mountain that's kind of in the middle of nowhere and really hard to find if you're following somebody's notes who doesn't have good directions. Not naming any names, Countess. And we're just gonna grab the sleep herb and then get out of here. Oof. Yeah, the mountain, I was just gonna talk about this encounter. The mountain has basically one dangerous encounter, which is this formation with 2 stubbirds and a wing tree that almost always is an ambush, and the stubbirds can cast twin hits. So this fight with the wrong ambush can be pretty dangerous. You can see Weeb died there, yep. So we're down to just the Grizzly. Yeah, Haktical just healing every turn and barely keeping up with the damage. Losing his worm there is definitely painful. Losing Squiz is like fine, he didn't need Squiz. But losing the worm is painful. But yeah, Mountain is dangerous, and at least he didn't have a full party wipe, which can definitely happen in that dungeon sometimes. Yeah, hey Tempest Mask, yeah. After the race finishes, I've got like a little thank you to Mr. Toriyama. Definitely had that planned as well. Doing this just a couple days after learning about his passing is a little emotional for a lot of us, so we'll definitely acknowledge that. Thanks for saying it. Alright, Crimson here is looking for his Dark Eye recruit. Since he's playing the Kobe version, I'm actually not as familiar with the right formations to find female Dark Eye. The Evil Wand monster actually doesn't appear in Terra. So I assume that since he's taking this fight, it's probably a formation that's good. Meanwhile, Haktical making really good progress through ice here. Wand replaces Slabbit. Thanks, Error. So, anything that would have been a Slabbit in Terra, it's a Wand in Kobe, so we know that one's good. So, in order to wake up the Queen here, we actually have to fight this Archdemon, Goat Horn, in Game Boy Color. The Archdemon is the Bull Wong monster. That's actually in the next boss fight. So this guy's not too bad. You see Haktical casting Stop Spell there. That's really because all this guy can do is cast AoE ice spells or do physicals, and physicals are a lot less. They're a lot less slow, but also less dangerous. You don't have to take any turns to heal. So totally blaster through that fight. One more fight at the end of ice, which is usually not an issue, and Haktical will be back in Great Log. Meanwhile, I have Q-san there doing his dance in front of the Queen at the 105 mark, so yeah, about 7 or 8 minutes behind Haktical there, and as I mentioned at the very start of the race, it's hard to know how much of that is because of loading times. So the 2 Japanese players are playing this on Super Game Boy, and one thing you see during battle loads or screen transitions is just kind of a much slower load of the screen compared to playing this on the GameCube Game Boy player, which is what we have all of the kind of runners on the right side of the screen playing on. So, saving a little time from Japanese text, but losing some more time, I think, from that slower loading. But it's kind of just an informal race, so we're not too stuck on any version differences. It's just kind of cool to be able to get everyone together here. Playing the game, showing off some different routes. One of the things we just like to do with these international races that Crimson and I put together every so often. Meanwhile, Haktical finishing off that last fight in ice. Really no issues at all. Throws the crest back into the lake. And returning Ice World to normal. The downside of when you return Ice World to normal is you don't get the cool Ice World music anymore, which is the best song in the game. But yeah, nice time out of ice. Haktical making it through that mountain, which was definitely the scary part. Otherwise, not really having too much trouble. Yeah, really clean run for him so far. Xytoriak here, able to get through his first fight in ice and getting all of his levels, so is TheCowness. Ooh, the Yeti is trying to join TheCowness. Names the Yeti EW4 and sends /home. Very nice. Alright. TheCowness has gone full Yeti. He has officially fulfilled his obligation in this race, so... Very nice. You will not be seeing any of the other runners recruit a Yeti. But I love to see it. TheCowness actually taking a different route from Error, Haktical, and Xytoriak here. He's got the Grizzly, just like everybody else. But he's actually gone for the Aquarella monster in front there. So his routing is a little bit more like the Japanese runners' routing, but they're not going to get a Yeti. You can say pretty confidently. Alright, so here in Great Log where Haktical is, we do our final breeding of the speedrun. So we are going to breed our Grizzly with this Master's Wild Ape. It's going to make a stronger Grizzly, which is really all we want. We don't want a different monster, we just want a Grizzly that has better stats. That's what we're going to get out of that. And then we're also, I missed it earlier, but he also bred his giant worm with a Spiky Boy, with the Master in the cafe, and that is going to breed an Armorpede. So Haktical is going to hatch an Armorpede and a Grizzly here. And those, along with the Hood Squid that's already in his party, are going to be the final party he takes through the entire rest of the run. The final key is... well, not the final key. The key to the next world, which is the Sky World, is one you actually don't have to do any work to do. Like, we had to recruit 2 monsters to get the Ice Key, but in order to get the Sky Key, we just have to go talk to the king. And he's like, hey, do you know where Prince Kamea went? And we're like, oh yeah, we've seen him around. And he's like, oh, okay, well, you should go. Here's a key. Maybe you should try to find him. So, we just go straight nice. Or straight into Sky. Not really any issues there. So, kind of similar to Ice World, the first random encounter here in Sky can be a little scary. I'd say it's less scary than the one in Ices, because our level 1 monsters are actually a little bit stronger than the previous generation. Squiz is also a little stronger as well, although hopefully not too much stronger. Plus the bear is actually able to contribute some damage here, which he really couldn't do in Ice. So, Haktical not really getting the best first encounter here in Ice. There's 3 monsters. But it would be nice if they kill Squiz. Because after this fight, yep, very nice. You really don't need Squiz for anything, and he's just going to be taking up everybody else's XP, so... yeah, actually worked out pretty good. And Squiz was taken out in that last action of that fight. Very nice. Alright, looking good. While we're waiting for all the levels to roll by, Error finishing his dance for the queen. Yusan is here waking up the other queen, fighting the goat horn. We'll soon be on the final battle in ice and moving on to sky fairly soon as well. Error walking right by the cursed horse and not even talking to it. I'm very disappointed that nobody is talking to the cursed horse tonight. But that's okay, guys. It's fine. You don't have to talk to the horse just because I'm here. I don't mind. Not hurting my feelings. So once you've got just a little bit of XP on your monsters, you kind of go into the first dungeon here in Sky. Pretty much every place in Sky is like a tower or a castle or something like that. So I don't know. This is like the first tower in Sky. Relatively short. It would be nice to get a little bit more experience in here, but we don't want to see a bunch of turtles. So Haktical, usually a person who loves to see turtles, not looking for them here, if he can help it, just because it goes a little bit slower than fighting, for example, the Madmere. Madmere is a great monster to run into in the tower. It's really not dangerous and pretty good experience. Madmere is trying to join the party. No thanks. I think we're gonna be okay with our Armorpede, our Grizzly, and our dead squid. Alright, Error also having no trouble in his puppeteer fight. Good to see. Although his squiz is still alive and still taking some experience. Not a big deal at this point, but he's not really contributing anything for the rest of Ice World. One thing I didn't mention because Haktical went through the area so quickly is this forest area that Error is now going into where we get Unisoul. Does have one pretty dangerous monster in it, which is... Oh no, Error's off to the mountain now. He already went through the forest. Well, someone's gonna have to go to the forest. It's the Mudron monster in the forest that some of our runners are gonna be watching out for, which is, I think, the only random encounter we run into which has the beat instant death spell. And that's a Terra only one, so anyone who's playing Kobe tonight does not have to worry about that. Meanwhile, different version difference that is advantage to Terra is the Change Staff that Haktical just picked up. Is there's a cave we have to go into a little bit later in the Sky here, where there's a small hole that we crawl through, and Terra is small enough to just crawl through it, but Kobe has to transform into a the kangaroo monster. I don't remember what it's called, Skullroo. In order to get through it, so it's a little bit of a time loss because you have to keep using the staff until you transform into the right monster. It usually takes like, I don't know, 20 seconds in Kobe, so pretty big deal. But anyone who's running Terra tonight, not even gonna have to worry about it. The shield item that we got from Rubus in Ice World is what we're using to fly around on clouds here in Sky World. It is kind of our final mode of transportation that we unlock. So the first one was the tidal bell that let us sail around. The second one that we got out of Pirate was I think it's like a mirror item that lets you break rocks. Not really sure how that one works. And then the final one was the one that lets us fly around through the air. But you can only fly in straight lines. Nice Haktical finding a world dew just on the map there. Really good. One of the things that the endgame is really dependent on is good healing items to get you through. Especially the last 3 fights. Mudo, the rival fight on the bridge, and then Dark, the final boss. You end up using a lot of world dews in those 3 fights. And also some world leaves if things don't go very well. So you're always happy to just walk across a world dew when you're walking around the world map. If you skip getting the money from Mom, like I think Error did, then you definitely are hoping to find items like that on the ground. Otherwise, it's going to be much more stressful getting through those last fights. So I think Haktical is going to be a little bit comfier on that, having gotten the money from Mom and also getting at least one on the ground like that. And it's so good to see that Yeti on TheCowness' screen in the back of the party. Great. Alright, Q-san has gotten his final party hatch. He put their accessories on. So there's a couple accessories we put on for this party. The bear, we put a war ring on, which is going to allow the bear to gain extra HP every time it levels up. And on the armor pede, we put a Drac scale on, which increases its defense even higher than its kind of absurd natural level. So hoping to just let it absorb a bunch of hits in the front, and we don't have to waste too much effort on healing it. Haktical is in the Metal Babble fight. So the Metal Babble in this game is actually a boss fight. And there it goes. Fortunately, our armor pede knows Evil Slash, so every time we use Evil Slash, there's about a 1 in 3 chance for it to crit. And it looks like it took Haktical, yeah, 2 tries there, so not losing any time to the Metal Babble fight. He also does have Squiz dead, so Squiz is not gaining a whole bunch of unnecessary levels here by having lived through the Metal Babble fight. That's actually a pretty important one. You do not want any unnecessary party members alive when you're getting that 20,000 experience from beating the Metal Babble. So yeah, 2 tries, that's pretty good. We'll see if anybody can beat it and get it the Evil Slash on the first try. Alright, so where Haktical is going next is the Puzzle Tower. I won't give it the full name because we're streaming on Limit Break here. But basically, we have the repellent going, so we won't run into any random encounters in here. And this is just a few minutes of clouding around to kind of navigate this maze. So usually when we are speedrunning this game, people just bring up random tower trivia and post it in chat, but in preparation for this one, I did not prepare additional tower trivia, so everyone is going to have to use their imagination or look for your own favorite tower trivia. Hope that you'll be okay. Did I not prepare any? Maybe I saved some. Hold on, I might have one tower trivia fact. What's my favorite tower? Man, that's such a great question, Purple Mario 920. My favorite tower is the grain elevator in the town I grew up in, because they only used it like 1 month out of the year, and on the second to top window of the grain elevator, and all these windows were like broken, right? This thing was like 100 years old. That light was always on, and we would always tell stories when we were kids about how there was like this ghost or like this weird zombie lady who lived in there, and she would come out and fly around through the window. That's my favorite tower. Thanks for asking. Yeah, A-Shiner. Yeah, it is pretty cool. In Lock Tower in Dragon Warrior 4, yeah, you use the flying shoes to land on the roof, and the boss fight is in the basement. It's always fun. Oh yeah, Eagle Tower in Link's Awakening. That's a great one. It's always fun when you kind of have those... this is such a Zelda thing too, yeah, where you're actually like changing the landscape to navigate the dungeon. I like that in speaking of Dragon Warrior 4, the final dungeon in Dragon Warrior 4, where you have to go downstairs and then ride an elevator. You go upstairs, you ride an elevator down, and then you walk across the roof of the elevator to actually get to the final boss. Some nice environmental design to be able to get through the palace. Yeah, meanwhile, how's Haktical doing? He's still here? Yeah, okay. Alright, we have Error entering Skyworld here, so he's about to see his first encounter. Sometimes when Error is really aggressive, he'll actually try to take his first fight in the castle, or in the tower here, but he's not going to do that. He's going to take one outside. Of course, he gets the Solar Fang Slime fight. I have a running joke with Error about how I never get this fight as my first encounter in Ice, and he gets it all the time. I always get like Refloramen or something like that, something that just like takes forever. And he gets that fight that takes like 10 seconds to get through, so of course, very nice. GG Error, happy for you. Alright, Haktical has completed the puzzle, and getting out of the puzzle tower and entering the puzzle castle. This place is actually more interesting. So, for the whole rest of the run, now that we have access to a shop where we could buy repellents, we're not going to see any more random encounters. So it's just boss fights from here. As soon as the repellent wears off, we are going to refresh it with the new one. So going through here, we have to solve a couple puzzles, and then we will fight the boss fight of this dungeon, who is Nightrich. Nightrich, kind of similar to Puppeter, actually, where most of the time it's not too big of an issue to get through the fight, but definitely, under the wrong circumstances, go pretty badly. The wrong circumstances with Nightrich are that he can summon kind of an invisible monster called Diago, and Diago is able to cast twin hits. So the bad combination of events is that he summons Diago early in the fight, and Diago is casting twin hits, so that the boss is able to do a bunch of damage. Nightrich is also able to cast a mid-heal spell. I don't remember exactly which one, but one that heals several hundred HP. Can really set the fight back as well if he decides to go that route. If he just decides to do physical attacks on the Armorpede, then the free fight. So here we have to help the Spooky find its way back home to its coffin. And then this next area, after we walk through this hallway, there's going to be a puzzle that shows a bunch of skeletons facing different directions. And the idea is that you would watch which way all the skeletons are looking and then follow kind of like the path that leads you to finally find a button on the back of a gravestone. But we know where that button is, so we're just going to walk straight to it, press the button, and enter the final boss. Yeah, repellents in this game are 100% effective. As long as you have one active, you will get no random encounters inside of dungeons, on the overworld. Doesn't matter what level you are. Yeah, very effective. Alright, so here we have Night Rich. Nice start there. We got the twin hits before the bear did his buy attack. We've already taken 800 off. He did summon Diago on turn 2 there, but Diago is not casting twin hits, so this looks pretty safe. Night Rich still just doing physical attacks, not choosing to heal. Oh, there it is. It's meditate. Yeah, he meditates to gain the HP. That's what it is. So extending the fight a little bit there by meditating. But Diago is just is just doing Scorching Breath, so yep. Not too bad. Had to do a little healing there just to stay safe, but definitely could go worse. Alright, we've got Crimson here going into the forest. He's playing the Kobe version, so we are not going to see any Mudrons appear for him. In Kobe, this area is pretty safe. There's really not anything scary. I think that the Mudron is replaced with an orc enemy, if I remember right. Maybe it's the shadow enemy. Yeah, one of those ones. Either way, you don't see anything too scary, so... He just even saw only one encounter walking through here. Ran on the first try. And got away. Running first try in this game is pretty unlikely. It's definitely not an easy game to run away on if you're not much higher level than the monsters that you are fighting. Alright, Haktical in kind of the final town here. So he was able to spend all of that extra money he had to buy a bunch of healing items, which he's going to take in through here. And next up is going to be Mudo's Palace. So Mudo, well known as kind of the major mid-game boss of Dragon Quest VI, appears here in this game as the boss before the boss. And we've got to get through him. Not too tough of a fight in the speed run, but he can slow you down. He can do some big damage, but the big thing is that he has the freezing waves effect. In this game, it's D-Magic. So he will remove your buffs, in particular twin hits, which just slows the fight down. While we're climbing down to Mudo, there's going to be a treasure chest that we are going to take the time to sail across and pick up. And that's got a Steel Fang accessory in it. So Steel Fang is worth equipping on the bear for the very end here, because it does increase his attack for the end game. And we still have plenty of monsters for the bear to destroy. So gonna be glad to see that happen. Hey Magius, welcome in. This is just a community race of Dragon Warrior Monsters 2. We've got a couple runners from Japan, Crimson and Kusan, they're on the left, and then 4 runners from the US. And we're all just kind of doing a friendly exhibition race of an old Game Boy Color game. Yep, so Haktical going through his Mudo fight here. He is dealing with some D-Magic, but that is to be expected. Ooh, dealing with a lot of D-Magic, actually. That was a good turn order there, though. I think Haktical actually anticipated that one. Very nice. Oh, how about some more D-Magic? How about if we just, every single turn, lose our twin hits and have to recast it? Very trolly Mudo today. There you go. You're actually happy to see Ice Storm at that point, because you just want to get some damage out. Yeah, there we go. Alright, well. He definitely slowed the fight down a little bit, but nothing too bad. You can see the bear there has gone from having by attack to quad hits. So, twin hits to double the bear's attack, combined with quad hits to attack 4 times in a turn is definitely, you know, makes the end of this game not not too difficult for the most part. We do still have 2 boss fights coming up. We've got the rival fight on the bridge. The Japanese runners would call that the Dark Master fight. And then we've got the final boss, Dark, here, who is showing up to taunt Prince Kamea there. The rival fight on the bridge is kind of the last really tough fight in the speedrun. There is a lot that can go wrong. We're fighting 3 strong monsters, and it's going to be different formations on Kobe and Terra, so we'll get to see both of those. Meanwhile, I see Error here in the Metal Babble fight. Oh, he got it on that slash. I didn't count how many turns that was, but as soon as I started paying attention, he got it, so... Probably not too many turns in before that landed. Very nice. That might have been first try, I'm not too sure. Hey Phil C. Katie, welcome in. You haven't seen this one before? Yeah, this is definitely a classic. It's over 20 years old now because it's, you know, Game Boy Color, of course, so I think this was 2000 or 2001. A lot of us grew up playing these Game Boy Dragon Warrior Monsters games, so definitely have some nostalgia for them, and this one in particular is just a really nice, pretty consistent speedrun, especially when you're talking about Dragon Quest speedrunning. This is one of the easier ones to actually be able to consistently finish. There's not too much RNG to deal with, just enough to make it interesting. Starsicle, welcome in. Yeah, still a whole bunch of race to go. Alright, we've got Haktical entering his rival fight here, so... we kind of start... He is putting... Ooh, we get Diago summoned in on turn 1, that's going to make it harder. He is putting Squiz on Mixed there, hoping that Squiz will dance and cause some of the monsters to lose their turns. The Dead Noble is not vulnerable to it, but the Armor Peon and Greykos both are. So Greykos is dancing, which is great. You're happy to have him lose some turns. We've definitely seen some damage here. Rain Slash is doing a lot there, so you can see his bear is down to 58 HP, so definitely going to be healing as soon as Diago went and sniped him. Okay, so losing your bear is really bad. He's going to use his World Leaf to try to recover that. His bear coming back does not have twin hits, so he's going to have to get that recast. Yeah, definitely bad luck. This is pretty rough. He's using a Love Water on his Armor Pede there, instead of being able to command for twin hits. Bear's almost down again, so he's got a World Do, yeah. He's definitely playing defensive here and hoping that maybe one of the monsters will get knocked out. Oh man, that critical hit took out his Armor Pede. Diago casts twin hits on Greykos. This is about as bad as it goes. This is really, really rough for Haktical. Yeah, he's out. Yep. Really bad luck, front to back there, not just with Diago, but also getting that critical hit on the Armor Pede was really unfortunate. Fortunately, we know the rival fight isn't safe, so Haktical took a safety save right before it. Not too bad of a time loss, but definitely disappointing, especially with the pace he was on. But he's still very comfortably in first. But yeah, definitely showing off how the rival fight here on the bridge is not free at all. Hopefully this time we don't see Diago on turn 1. Nope, we're still seeing him. Okay. Greykos did the odd step there, so that is going to make it so Greykos will dodge a lot of attacks as well. It's pretty bad. Squiz is getting 2 of the monsters to dance here though, so that is helpful. He is able to command the Armor Pede to use Explode It there, which is going to help. And Bear's using quad hits. So the bear does have twin hits up. using quad hits, so we are at least doing some damage here. Squiz contributing his 1 damage on the armor P, thanks. Very nice. Or armor P-in, sorry. Alright, Squiz is out, nothing wrong with that. Iago again gets twin hits on Great Ghost, which is scary. Armor P-in is almost out, there we go, nice. That's good. Yeah, you can see Hack kind of doing a preemptive heal on his bear there, just because he does not want to lose the bear. Wants to be able to finish the fight out, and having twin hits on Grakos there is pretty scary. But just the Dead Knight left, and Diago, so has to revive the Armor Pete again. That's why we have the Leaf, honestly, is really for this fight more than anything, so you don't really mind using it. And it should be good to finish the fight out. Yep. Pretty tough one, though. Neither one of those was especially easy, especially with Dead Noble summoning Diago at the very beginning of both fights. It's making it harder. It's like there's an extra monster you have to deal with through the entire thing. And one that you are not going to kill. It's just going to be hanging out there, just doing extra damage and buffing the enemies up. But with that, Haktical is able to advance over to the final boss. Who is going to philosophize with us about collecting. There are 2 kinds of collectors. There's a lot of other things about collectors. Yeah, you know, gotta collect them all, right? Alright, so Dark here, honestly this fight feels quite a bit like the Muto fight. You are dealing with D-magics, but it's more dangerous in that, like I mentioned quite a while ago, he can confuse you. So, I think Haktical did buy some Sky Bells. I saw those in his inventory, so if he gets confused, he will be able to use a Sky Bell, especially on the bear. But for the most part, you're kind of just hoping that Dark wastes his turns trying to cast, trying to use Giga Slash on the Armorpede, who is resistant to it. Or doing other things that kind of similarly aren't too bad. Ooh, the bear has gotten confused. Yeah, Haktical immediately using a Sky Bell there. That's what you do. Yeah, so looks like he bought a few of those, so was ready for the worst to happen. The confused bear did not get out of control. Yep, how about one more D-Magic for the road? Why not? TheCowness asking in chat how they get solo Fang Slimes. I agree with that. Personally, I have no idea how they do it. And Dark is down. Alright, that is Haktical beating the final boss. So technically the time ends when we are on last input, which is about 8 minutes from now, but GG to Haktical as the first one to finish the final boss. Yeah, with a really good time, honestly, beating the boss right about the 140 mark. Very, very nice. So we can see over in the bottom left, Q-san is descending to his Muto fight now. Gonna pick up that Steel Fang for the bear. And is about to kind of enter that final boss rush. Really not too far behind. Crimson entering Sky World right now and going to be dealing with his first encounter of Sky. He's going straight into town, though. I wonder if he's going to take his first fight in the tower. It looks like it. One aspect about this tower that this goat horn is actually saying is you can't enter the tower unless you've completely tamed all your monsters. So you have to have all monsters with 0 wild. Effectively, for a speedrun, the only way we're going to accomplish that is to bring in monsters we've bred. Or Squiz, who is not a wild guy, despite his reputation. Alright, looks like Q-san also seeing plenty of D-magic from Mudo here. Go figure. Ooh, Crimson getting a really nice fight for having gone in the tower. Solo turtle. One of the best things you could find going in the tower to have to fight at level 1, so getting some pretty easy experience and not losing time walking outside the tower. So that's a great advantage for him. Gonna be a nice time save. Alright, Q-san definitely doing some nice damage to Mudo now. 240, 238, and down. Yep. Very nice. So he'll be finishing out into the final Limbo world very soon to fight his rival fight. And since he's playing Kobe version, I think we can expect to see some different monsters in that fight. I know for sure Crimson is playing on Kobe. I think I saw the spots on the hat on Q-san's stream. Hard to tell right now because he's a mini demon. Yeah, that's right. Never race Haktical. Yeah. Alright, Error also in his Mudo fight here, so creeping up on Q-san. Not too far behind. The way that Limbo goes might determine who's able to clinch out second place here between Error and honobonokyu. Character and monster designer Akira Toriyama. Music composer Uchi Sugiyama. Yep. Still have Yuji Horii, but the Dragon Quest trio, who's brought us, yeah, so many of my favorite games and a lot of our favorite games. Yeah, it's been a sad week for sure. But happy to celebrate with all of these great Toriyama creations in Dragon Warrior Monsters. Okay, so we have you entering the rival fight now. So you can see some different monsters. He is playing Kobe, confirmed. So the one on the left is a big threat for the beginning of the fight. That's Centaur, and it can cast Stop Spell, which we don't want to see hit because we could lose our ability to get twin hits. Alright, see Aquarella doing some AoE damage there. Yep. Nice Rain Slash. So you can kind of go quad hits or you can go Rain Slash with your Grizzly. Quad hits is a little bit less overall damage when there's 3 monsters, but you might be able to focus one of the monsters down to have an easier fight. But it's not too big a difference, so we actually see Q-san here going with the Rain Slash tactic, which I like. And looks like really not having any trouble at all in this rival fight. Not at all like what Haktical had to deal with for sure. The Giga Draco there is still pretty dangerous with the breath attacks, but it's a World Dew out for a full party heal. And yeah, almost here. We're gonna use Love Water, heal up. Oh, it's another World Dew actually. Heal everyone up. Nice. Actually finished the fight at full HP, so good position going into the final boss for Q-san. Error going into his rival fight on Terra version here. When hits right before quad hits, very nice, and 4 attacks on Gracchus, who is now dancing. Okay. Should see Gracchus go out pretty soon here, as long as the bear does some decent targeting from here on. Alright, going for Rain Slash there on turn 2. Alright, here we go into keep the bear alive mode. TheCowness getting the solo Fang Slime, not when he needs it. Getting it later on in Sky, of course. Thanks, game. Alright, and Kusan is entering his dark fight now, so... unless something goes pretty catastrophically wrong for him, probably gonna be able to clinch out second place. Ooh, Error, very nice rival fight. Got through that quite quickly. Gonna be rushing up to the final boss for sure, but... yeah, Kusan just making really good progress through this dark fight. The bear has run out of MP. Takes a lot of MP to use all those quad hits. Opting not to use a potion. Just going for solo physical attacks. Dark is almost dead, just gonna be 1 or 2 more turns, even with just physicals, yep. And there you go. Alright. GG. Honobonokyu. Very nice second place, even with the OctoKid Aquarella routing and Super Game Boy extra load times. Nice run. It's very good. Error now in his dark fight, so not too far behind at all. Recovered from that really painful early reset. Yeah. Able to make really good time through the whole rest of the game, which, you know, again, Error's top 2 runner for this game. So not surprised at all. Dark casts Panic All, but it misses. Yeah. Doesn't even have to deal with the Skybell drama that Haktical had to deal with. I see Crimson in his Metal Babble fight here. Oh, first try for Crimson. Very nice. First try, Evil Slash. And Dark is defeated on Error's screen. GG, Error. Error somehow still managing to maybe get sub 2. It's going to be super close for him. Even with a really rough start with the lamp. He's gonna finish right about there. Haktical showing off his monster stats here. We have an affable Grizzly. Very nice. Yep. About time to switch audio. Let's see. Alright, switching over to Xytoriak's audio for a little bit. Alright, so yeah, at this point we have 3 of our runners who have completed the game. Haktical in first, honobonokyu in second, and Error in third. And we have Xytoriak going through the puzzle castle. Crimson going through the puzzle tower. A little bit behind Xytoriak there, and TheCowness making his way through the Metal Babel Cave. Alright, I think I'm gonna get Haktical and Error to join me here in chat, so just 1 second while I figure out the audio there.
Well then.
Alright. Hey Haktical. Hey Error. I think I need to turn you guys up.
Sure.
Alright. GG Haktical on the win. Very nice.
Thank you.
That was a heck of a rival fight.
Yeah. Diago on turn 1, and then Bear got focused down, and then Cyclic, I don't know, just everything kind of just went wrong.
Yeah.
And the second fight was a little sketch too, but
yeah, that first fight, both fights, Diago turn 1, very beginning of the fight. That first time, the crit on your armor peed was really brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just like all the worst things that can happen in that rival fight happened. It was the perfect demonstration of that.
That's kind of a summary of a lot of my run. Like, this run was definitely carried off of getting a really fast level 1 worm recruit, and then my play was a little sloppy at time. I forgot to reorder before squiz and things like that, but I had a lot that went not well. I had the ambush in the mountain and ice with the stubbirds and the tree slime that or wing tree, I mean, that twin hits and killed my worm. I had really bad Mudo fight that did like 4D magics in a row. Dark was sketchy. Rival fight was bad. Like, I mean, the run was okay, but a lot didn't go well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But...
Conversely, my run.
Yeah.
The exact opposite.
Right. Yeah, you had a really clean, smooth early game Haktical, whereas Error had the really rough early game and then the clean end game. Yeah,
Yes.
Error, talk to us about Curse Lamp, buddy.
Actually, it's gonna start with Beavern.
Okay.
Because Beavern's actually the crux of the problem there. So the worm recruit, first of all, 8 spookies before I saw a worm. Thanks, game. Appreciate it. But the worm was level 4, did not gain a level before Beavern, and low rolled its max HP. And that combined with a high roll from Beavern on a build-up, to where he did exact damage for the worm's max HP. So the worm got 0 experience from the Beavern fight, and I was really weak going into the lamp because of that. So about halfway through the first attempt, I realized I should die and save my herbs and come back after a few fights and try again. But that still didn't work out. So I made the decision to just reload the save before the worm and just hope things would go better. And fortunately, I got a level 1 worm off of that after 2 more spookies, though. So
Yeah.
today was a lot of spookies. But
Yeah.
getting that level 1 worm kind of turned around Oasis a bit there. And from there, like, the only thing that really went wrong was the friend staff breaking on Squiz. Everything else was pretty ideal. So I was able to climb back in.
Yeah, you were gaining ground on pretty much all the other runners throughout, and finished, I don't know, less than a minute, I think, behind Kusan. So
Yeah.
it was a pretty good comeback. It was kind of fun to see you just sort of catching up to everybody there throughout the whole run.
It's apparently just how I do these community races. Because last time in Dragon Warrior 4, I was the last one out of Chapter 1.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were. You were the last out of Chapter 1 and first out of Chapter 2, though, I think.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Just the worst out of... I'm really bad at community races, I guess. I just can't start them well. But it was a really fun run. I was angry at the very beginning. I was in voice chat with the rest of the English runners, and I'm pretty sure they were uncomfortable because of the way I was reacting there. But I'm glad I stuck it out.
Yeah, that's fair. It was pretty rough. And so, when you died to the lamp fight the first time, you just didn't have any herbs, right? So you were thinking, can I go fight the lamp again without healing, or what were you kind of thinking through there?
Now, the first one, I actually died on purpose. I should have made the decision earlier and saved more herbs, but once I realized, like, because turn 1, turn 2 were both uppers, and I didn't have a heavy hitter, so I was, like, really chipping away, and I just decided too late. You know, it's like, I just need to die and try this again with some fights in between to get a few bonus levels for attack power. So, yeah, that first one was an intentional death to save the rest of my herbs, and then the second one, I tried to make up some of the experience lost from Beavern by killing off Slash and the Cactaball toward the end, but I just kind of misjudged where I was in the damage, and then the double over made it so that the worm was only hitting for 2 damage per turn at that point, so that one just wasn't going to end well anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't going to get through it. Yeah, it was
a desperation move.
Totally. It was definitely a pretty hard decision that you had to make there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And resetting was a tough decision too, but I was just like, I don't really want to continue this run with my current setup, so let's try the worm again.
Haktical, were you kind of watching the race? Were you aware that you were pretty far ahead in the lead coming out of Pirate?
Yeah, I was watching Error specifically pretty closely, and I was keeping like a general eye on the race as a whole, and Ono was actually like pretty close to me in part of Pirate. Like, I think I was exiting the Moon Tower, and they were like just beating Captain Dead or something.
Mm-hmm.
But then I kind of gained some ground through ice. At least, I think, or Sky, one of the two.
Yeah, for sure. So I was thinking, because you went ahead and did some of the race safety things we talk about, like getting the money from Mom to afford all the healing items, which I think you skipped, right, Eric?
Yeah, I did Mom skip.
Yeah. But it's nice kind of knowing you have that room to do the safety things, make sure you'll have enough healing for the end game, and you needed it, so.
Yeah, I played it a lot like my marathon run that I did for RPG Limit Break last year. There were a couple safeties I did in that run that I didn't do in this one, like getting an extra bookmark to save before Night Rich. But in general, I played it like a race marathon kind of run, and if it had been very, very close, you know, maybe I would have taken a couple more chances, but you know, priority number 1 is complete it with a stable time, so.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it was a really nice run, and yeah, I mean, just to finish out using kind of racing strats under 150 is not something to complain about.
Yeah, no, I'm perfectly happy with the time. I mean, the run had a couple very, very specific things go very right, and then it had a lot go a little bit wrong. But it all worked out, so I can't complain.
Nice, very good. Well, GG's to both of you on finishing in the top half. We've got Xytoriak entering his rival fight now, so we'll see if he has better luck than Haktical did. He immediately gets a critical hit on his armor repeat. Okay.
So same luck. Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot for helping coordinate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot. This was great. I'm glad we got a couple Japanese runners in there. I know it was a little touch and go as to who was going to join for a while, so
Yeah, for sure. No, glad to have you guys here, and you know, it's a run, especially us three have worked on a lot and had a lot of fun with. So glad we were able
Absolutely.
to kind of show it off here. Yeah. Well, you are either welcome to hang out, or you can head out. I know it's a late one for us in the U.S., so up to y'all.
Yeah, I'll head out.
I'll stick
It's
around.
midnight for me.
All right. Thanks a
But
lot, Haktical.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, GG again.
Thanks to you too, GG Error. And yeah, catch you guys later.
All right. Xytoriak did get the armor PN out. He's dealing a bunch of damage with this bear here. I don't think I've seen Diago come out in this fight, so he does have that advantage. He's playing it safe. He's got a ton of world dude, and he's using it, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, my bridge fight, I got really lucky. That first quad hits, all 4 of them hit Garakos.
Yeah, I saw that. That was really lucky. That was great.
And then, of course, you know, on the healing turns, it chose to do rain slash instead of quad hits, which was a little bit upsetting, but, you know, it worked out.
All right, yeah, nice rival fight. Good recovery from that initial kind of tough start for Xytoriak, but came through the rest of it no problem.
Yeah, recovering from a crit on the armor peed is not easy, so that was really well played.
Yeah, that's tough. It's really not what you want to see at the beginning of that fight, for sure.
I'll get a Mudo hop coming up on Crimson. Nice.
Yep, Crimson in his Mudo fight, TheCowness fighting Nightrich here. Alright, so Xytoriak gonna go take a save, I think, before he
Not a bad idea.
goes to fight Dark.
Yeah, Dark isn't usually a problem, especially with all those resources, but there are times when he just spams Giga Slash on the bear, and there's just not much you can do about it.
Yep. Yeah, looks like he's gonna head back to Great Log, take the free heal, maybe.
Yeah.
He might
So
not have
Dark's
any. He might not have any potions to recover the bear's MP. Actually.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Xytoriak's one of the newer runners. He's only done a couple of runs before this race, but he's been doing pretty well. Like, I think his PB's a 208, which is pretty good for, you know, like 2 runs prior to this.
Yep. Definitely. I like the subliminal messaging on TheCowness's party names there.
Did you notice my character name?
No. I can look at it though.
Here, I'll pull up the info for you.
Jasquiz.
No. Just gotta wait for the stream delay.
Oh, Diago. I did notice that at the beginning, actually. Yeah, I noticed that one. It was pretty good. You were not the one who was cursed with Diago, turns out.
It's because I showed proper respect.
That's right. Ooh, Diago did twin hits TheCowness's Nightrich there, and Nightrich followed up with a Meditate.
Oh no. Yeah, and then... Is DW4 the bear or the armor peed?
DW4 is the Yeti.
Oh, right, he got a Yeti.
That's right.
I remember I asked him about that, because like I heard you mention it, like because I was listening to the stream audio, and he said he threw 3 ribs at it. I was like, okay. I wasn't sure if initially if he had gone for it, or if he just got one naturally. I would have been really impressed with it.
Yep. Yeah, so TheCowness having to use some healing to get through this Nightrich fight. Ooh, that's really rough. He's down to just Yeti.
Oh.
Ooh, Yeti finishes off Nightrich though. Oh my gosh, he was out of healing.
Yeti always pays off.
Alright. Nice Yeti strats. Pulling through. Alright, Xytoriak is going through his dark fight here. Nice, you're seeing Giga Slash on Armorpede, who resists it. That's what you want to see pretty much every turn from Dark if he's going to do it.
Yeah, missing the confusion or doing 0 damage to the Armorpede is ideal. Yeah, one of the reasons why we go for the Armorpede is actually for this fight, because Armorpedes are completely immune to damage from Giga Slash. You'll notice it'll do like about 160 damage to the bear, but Armorpede's if he swings Giga Slash at the Armorpede, it's a free turn. You don't have to spend any time recovering it, and it's just also really convenient that the Armorpede also avoids a lot of damage over the course of the Sky and Limbo.
Yeah, the Armorpede Grizzly combination is very complementary.
Yeah.
Armorpede having twin hits and then being able to kind of take damage and set the bear up for big hits. It's just kind of perfect to be able to last through the end game as quickly as possible. All right, Xytoriak.
Like wanted us to speedrun this game.
Xytoriak beating his dark fight. GG, Xytoriak.
GG.
Very nice. Like I said, Xytoriak, pretty new to running this game. Has only done a few runs, so
Crimson
beating Dark at 207, very respectable. It's great.
So Crimson's running into the big challenge with the Kobe version of this game, where the bridge fight has it at Giga Draco, and it has White Fire, which is a massive fire damage AoE. It is really rough to come back from that if he decides to spam it, and fortunately the Giga Draco just went down, so should be fine from here. But He's a little bit hairy there for a second. Had to use his World Leaf. Yeah.
Ooh. Q-san, also playing on Kobe, had a pretty smooth rival fight there. You know, no issues from Centaur. I don't know if I saw Whitefire. If it came at a pretty easy time to recover from. Yeah, Crimson had a little bit more trouble, but still not too much. No one has much trouble as Haktical on the rival fight, so.
I'm not gonna lie, when Kyo-san was on the bridge fight, I was rooting for the Centaur, but it didn't come through for me.
It did not.
I was like, come on, stop spell. Aw, darn.
Yeah, Purple Mario, it is pretty interesting. It's kind of fun that, you know, as we were all kind of working on this speedrun over the last, 15 months, we had to kind of learn about the different versions of how they play kind of on a speedrun level, because there are definitely a lot of things that are different, but the advantage was never really too obvious until I think maybe the last 5 months or so, when we saw how powerful the low-level worm on Terra version was. Error.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we initially thought the times of the two game versions were going to be very similar because, off the top of our heads, we were thinking, okay, you can skip the change staff RNG on Terra, but on Terra you have to fight Slabbits when you're doing the Dark Eye Recruit, whereas you don't have to deal with those on Kobe and everything. They probably even out pretty well. And then it was actually when Anatolu was starting to put more time into the game that we noticed that he was recruiting worms more often than we were. Because on the Kobe version, you save before the worm, and sometimes it takes 3 or 4 worm fights before you get the recruit. And that's with throwing a pork chop and 2 beef jerkies. And he was just throwing a pork chop and getting a worm most of the time. So we looked further into it and found out that Terra actually has a higher recruit chance for the worm. And then we noticed he was getting level 1 worms.
Right.
We were like, wait a second. This is a bigger difference than we were expecting.
I was like, actually, this run's pretty easy to get going. I don't know why you guys had so much trouble with it playing Kobe version.
Yeah. Yep. But you paid for that with the Fang Slime luck. So
yeah.
You had your moment.
one day I'll see the solo Fang Slime, but who knows.
And when I got that, I turned up the stream audio. I was like, I needed to hear your reaction. So you did not disappoint.
Yep. Yeah. Go figure. That's fine.
Alright, GG's to Crimson.
Alright.
Nice, smooth dark fight.
GG Crimson. Very nice. Crimson finishing 5th. I will switch over to Countess's audio to finish this out. And then we can talk about what Countess is doing here and why he is not finished yet, because there are reasons that come down to a choice that Countess has made about Aquarella Yeti. Actually, Pumpoise. He bred into the Pumpoise now.
Are we sure this isn't Monsters 3? The Dark Prince route uses the pump voice.
Actually, don't know if I can use Countess's audio because I hear us talking on it.
No.
So maybe I will just hang out on Xytoriak's until the credits finish out, and then we'll go on to yours if you can find some nice music for us to listen to.
Sure. I mean, you know, the Great Log music is fantastic. I'll just chill here.
Okay, I'll actually just play.
Unfortunately, the ice music changes after you clear it, so you don't get to go back and enjoy the best music in the game.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'll just play yours. Could you turn your game audio up a little bit for me, actually?
Oh yeah, it's actually muted right now. Is that good? We need more.
I don't see anything.
Oh, that's because I stopped the stream.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
explain it.
Well, then you're not gonna help me, are you?
I'm not. I can start the stream again if you'd like.
Nah, it's not worth it. It's fine.
Okay. I was confused because my image is still up there on the on the layout.
Yeah, good prank though.
Yeah.
Xytoriak will keep the Great Log music going. Perfect. Thanks, Xytoriak. That will work just fine.
That's teamwork right there.
All right,
Now,
so
one of the fun things about watching Cowie do runs is most of the time you get to see something new and different.
yes, and today is no exception. So the party Dragon Warrior 4 for RPG Limit Break is going into Muto here. So Countess, you saw him actually go in and take the evil armor fight in Muto's castle there, because I think he's trying to get some extra experience for his monsters, since he did have to use a lot of extra healing on his Night Rich fight. So you don't always need to use a bunch of healing in these end fights if things go okay, but it can be difficult. Fortunately, I think his pump boy stuff does have some healing abilities, so he can lean on that a little bit in a way that everyone who had the more conventional party would not be able to. But I think he's only got level water.
Healing abilities really comes in handy on the bridge fight. A little bit on Muto, I suppose.
Yeah, but
I had probably the best Muto I've ever had during this run. Like, I think it was a 5-turn fight. The bear didn't outspeed any of the twin hits, and he only demagicked once.
Why is his Okay, there's the twin hits. Ooh, yeah, this is a tough one to get damage out on. Okay, so he's still got a couple World Dew and 1 World Leaf.
That could be a little bit scary for the bridge fight. He is low on dews, but he does have some love water. So if they're not focusing down his bear too much, then he should be okay. But if there's a lot of damage going on the bear, it's going to be hard to keep up with the damage output. The good news is he doesn't have to make sure Squiz died.
That's true. Alright, able to get past Muto, very nice. So Countess just needs to make his way through a couple more boss fights at the end here. I mentioned it early on in the race, but Countess is probably the one out of all of us who has the best kind of general game knowledge for this game. He's played it casually, I think much more than anyone else here. I actually don't know about Q-san, but as far as, you know, Haktical, Xytoriak, Error, and Crimson go, I know Countess has just played this a lot more casually, thought about different speedrun routes. Inside of his notes, he has a lot of alternative breeding routes that take him through, so I'm sure he'll be able to improvise through this, or already has a plan for how to get through all the rest of it.
Yeah, like I've got a really good understanding of the speedrun route as it currently exists in the last couple iterations, but Coway's knowledge of the game is so vast that you could seriously give him a random party at a random point in the game and say, go finish the game, and he'll do it. He'll find a speedrun route for it.
Yeah, 100%. It's gonna be no problem at all. And so that's kind of fun watching him do this. I mean, it's always fun to watch Countess in a race because he's always gonna lean into the memes. But it's also kind of fun to see him do this one in particular because he is getting creative in a way that probably most of the other runners have to sort of stick to the script a little more.
This is absolutely a party composition I've never seen before or considered.
Yeah. I know Pump Voice Route is something I think I've only ever seen in Countess's notes. So I'm not sure anyone else has ever done it. Pretty cool to see.
Oh, he found a bolt staff. Nice. One nice thing is that the world dues here are actually much cheaper. You can get them for 500 gold, and I think that he has to go to the far left shop. But yeah, they're only 500 here. As opposed to 600 at the first shop in Sky and
He's actually shopping for ribs.
150.
So
Okay, well, that makes more sense.
yeah, totally. At this
He's
point,
probably going to finish the mom quest if he skipped that before.
oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. He's gonna actually turn that rib into some extra money for Mom. So
He gets
buy
more
a
dues.
buy a rib for 200 gold, get 1200 gold for Mom. That makes sense. Except that she no longer has the quest open.
Oh, that quest closes. Good.
Okay, so never mind.
I mean, he's got plenty of money though. He had that bolt staff, so he can get a handful of world dues here, or not.
Yeah, I think he's just gonna go for it. Hoping that I mean, as long as things don't go too bad, he can probably clinch it out. But it has a less of a buffer than the other runners did at this point, that's for sure.
Yeah, on average, the Kobe bridge is a lot more dangerous, mostly because of the Giga Draco, but the Terra one is not significantly easier, and mostly because they can pump large chunks of damage. Oh, maybe he wanted a leaf. Because a leaf I don't think is available in Great Land.
Yeah, he does have a lot of gold here, though.
Well, the bolt staff was like 2,200 gold.
Yeah, you're right. He's buying a leaf in addition to the dues there, so yeah, must have wanted to have one of those in his inventory, which makes sense.
Yeah, now he's well equipped for this encounter.
Yeah, maxing out with love water. All right, got the full 24 items. Head back home and, well, head actually straight to Limbo, probably. Yeah.
Oh wow, 180 agility on the bear, that is low. That is actually really good.
Yeah.
See, you want low agility on the bear so that there's a less chance that it's going to outspeed twin hits from the armor feed. 180 is like one of the lowest ones I've seen. It's usually like 190 to 200. He probably had very good turn orders toward the second half of the game.
Probably so, yeah. 180's amazing. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, mine was 194.
Yeah.
Like the armor feed usually finishes around 210.
Alright, let's see how this goes. So, when hits... Trying to think about, what do I ask my pump voice to do?
I wonder if Panic all works on this fight.
Got the
Oh, he doesn't
Yeti.
have
Yeti's
hit.
casting Snowstorm.
Oh.
Alright. Yep, we're going in with healing right from the start for sure.
This could be rough. He only has by attack.
Yeah, he has been
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
keep 3 monsters leveled instead of 2, so harder to get all the way
Yeah.
up to learning
Missing
quad
some
hits.
XP. And by some, I mean a boatload.
Yeah, quite a bit.
I think he'll still have enough to learn it off of this fight, though, assuming he can get through it. So Dark should be fairly textbook.
Yeah, really tough to get it going at the beginning here just because of so much damage coming at you, so. This is why we have the leaf.
Yeah, and this is another one of the kind of the sneaky advantages to the Armorpede, is if these guys focus on the Armorpede, its super high defense is going to allow you to not heal as often, so you can give the command to use by attack, quad hits, whatever you've got at the time, and pump out more damage. Having the bear in the back slot, though, is a little bit difficult to do this for, because if the bears, like, if you go into the tactics menu, as soon as you give the tactic to the third monster, the combat starts. So you can change the tactic for monster 1, monster 2, and then back out of it and use an item. But like, you can't put the bear on charge and then also heal, and then just hope that it uses by attack or rain slash.
Yeah, Countess definitely have some trouble there. It is just a lot of damage to keep up with, and even though he was slowly taking him down, it's tough to get through. But the stop spell cast was effective on the Dead Noble and the Armorpean. And stop spell on Dead Noble is actually pretty helpful to keep it from summoning or healing. I don't know if
Yeah.
it stops the Armorpean from rain slash.
I don't think it does.
I don't think it would.
But stopping heal us is good on two fronts. I mean, obviously the healing, but then also the animation for heal us is very slow.
Yeah, another thing we know could be an option just from having Squiz do it is using the Lure Dance. And Armorpean and Gracos could get lured into dancing as well.
Oh, my Gracos was a dancy boy.
Yeah, yours was. He was ready to dance.
He had like 4 dances in a row. I was like, okay.
That's right. Alright, well, no one's dead yet. Honestly, you're seeing a lot of physicals from them, which is good. That's probably the best case scenario as far as being able to keep up with the damage you're getting dealt.
Yeah. Yeah, the biggest thing is damage on the bear. If they're not focusing on the bear, you can keep pumping damage, and honestly, the other two are pretty much expendable. But you want to get as many quad hits off as possible, or in his case, by attack.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a huge deal if he was able to finish this fight with only the bear alive.
Yeah, you could just go back to the shrine and teleport back and get the free heal.
Yeah, healing is pretty free. And basically, as long as someone who's getting the experience is someone helpful, then it's fine.
Yeah.
And the bear learning quad hits would be a good outcome.
Yeah, well, you get like 30k experience from this fight. Well, I guess that's with 2, so you'll get like 22k?
Yeah, about
Somewhere
that.
around there for 3 alive. That's going to be enough to get to quad hit.
Yep. But this is looking okay. It's not safe yet, for sure. But he's made a ton of damage. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Just Gracos left.
A little bit risky there. I would have probably gone for the Whirldew instead of the Love Water there, just because the bear's HP was low. There we go.
Yeah, it's too bad about that Ice Storm. And he just keeps using it now, which is not really what you want to see.
Yeah, really anytime the bear is under like 180 and there are 2 or 3 monsters alive, it's kind of scary. But at this point, it's fine. It's just Gracos.
Yeah, Gracos is probably the hardest one of all of the all of the monsters we're facing though. With that Ice Storm attack and being able to evade so much as well. And he's got a ton of HP.
Yeah, less scary without backup, for sure.
Alright.
Yeah, once he does his odd step and he starts dodging everything, it's pretty rough. Yeah, there it goes.
Okay.
And he missed. He got him.
Yep. All right, rival fight is down. That's good. That's honestly harder than the final boss. So good
Oh,
to be
yeah.
on the other side of that.
Dark is far and away the simplest final boss of any Dragon Quest game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. It's unlike pretty much every other Dragon Quest run where when you get to the final boss and you're like, okay, this is one of the easier parts of the run actually.
Yeah, the final boss of this game is really the victory lap.
Yep. So Countess, kind of like what we were saying here, it's gonna head back to Greatlock, take that free heal. To get full party heal and the revive for his pump voice. Checking his items, he's like, I'd really like to have a little bit more healing if I can. Yeah, Dark, well, while being an easier final boss, still not completely trivial if you don't have the healing items to keep up with it, because one thing he does have is a lot of HP.
Yeah, I mean, really, you don't see Giga Slash hit the bear very often, but you ideally want one world do for each one.
Yeah.
Did he just buy a D scale?
He did just buy a D scale. He's gonna buy a D scale and sell the Drax scale to get a little bit of money.
Drax scale doesn't sell for very much.
It'll get you
get
some
one
love
more
water
dew.
though. Yeah, one more dew or some love water.
Yeah, when I started cutting out the Drax scale, I looked at getting it to sell it, and I was like, never mind, that's not worthwhile.
Yeah, it sells for $375. It's not a ton, but when you're just trying to get one more healing item for the final boss, it is something.
Yeah. I'll buy the Yeti.
2,000 gold for a Yeti. It's not too bad.
How much gold do I have? I only have 475 gold. That's the best I can do.
I could load up my last save and see how much gold I had, but it was probably not much. Although I don't do that. I pretty much never do any item shopping in that final town. Nice. Well, that's a potion. That's too bad. Potion could sell for some money, actually.
A little bit. Like 200 something?
If that's a sirloin, that'll be good money. No, it's just a rib.
We can go get another Yeti, though. We got some ribs.
But yeah, I usually kind of front load all my shopping a little bit earlier. And then don't do any in that final town before Muto's Calisol. So, I might have some money. Yeah, don't go in there, please. We don't need any more of that place. Yeah, Countess just looking for either World Dew to be able to take into the final boss fight, or a really valuable pickup like Elf Water or Sirloin that he could sell for some money. I'd say he's not too far away from being able to totally get through the final boss fight, but probably just wants a little bit more gold, or at least one more world due.
Yep. Alright, well, I'm gonna step out of here and go jump into the Japanese restream commentary for an interview.
Yeah, alright, very good.
So,
GG again,
see you,
Eric.
everybody. See you guys later.
Yep. This being an international race, we have had English restream, we've also had Japanese restream. With Ebi-san, Dragon Quest runner, probably known to quite a few of you. Japanese restream was over on the RTA Racing channel. And they have our good friend Vaxherd doing translation, so able to interview the English runners. Alright, heading back to Great Log. Found what we could find. Gonna take one more pass through Sky, see if we can find anything better. It is kind of unlucky to not find any elf water, which is the really valuable item. Or any sirloin. They are definitely both pickups you would expect to be able to find if you looked around the map this much. Finding plenty of love water, but that's unfortunately not worth too much. 820 gold is a nice find. That's actually really, really helpful. And we're running out of repellents now too, so don't want to have to do too much more wandering. But we do get to show off the giant sprite, one of my favorite monsters in Dragon Quest Monsters. The original heroic attack, of course, comes from the giant. Alright, so you can sell some potions. 1,800 gold. Selling some world leaves. Brings us up to 2,400. We're just turning that into 3 world dues here. Yeah, not quite enough for a repellent. Probably not a huge deal. Fortunately, you don't have to go too far to get to Dark's Castle here in Limbo. But there is a little bit of walking. So hopefully we don't see any kind of weird random encounters as we're walking up here to Dark. Some of these monsters, ones you don't usually see in the speedrun though, so. Here's the Chop Clown. Showing off some of the more endgame monsters. This being a monsters game, there is a lot of post-game content. And so there are, hundreds of monsters, of course, that are in the game that we're not seeing today. Chop Clown is one we don't see too many of. Fortunately, using the cloud to go straight across rather than walking through this like you actually might end up doing playing this casually. It's a pretty short walk up to Dark here. Alright, quick reorder here. We're going to put Pump Voice in the front. Alright, into the treasure room. So we're Pump Voice, Yeti, Grizzly here. So Grizzly's in the back, trying to keep him safe. Especially keep him safe from those Giga Slashes, as we mentioned earlier. Twin hits. The Yeti has some kind of very important job, I'm sure. Alright, Pump Voice taking a hit there, but physical attacks are really not too bad. One of the things we'd rather see overall. Alright, we're using the Geyser attack Unfortunately, Dark dodged the geyser. Would have been amazing, though, to see that. Make Dark lose some turns. Oh, blown sky high. There we go. Okay. So he is somewhat vulnerable to it. Very fun tactic there. Alright, we have buy attacks going. Good damage coming out of that. So Pump Hoist is going to keep using that geyser attack when it doesn't need twin hits. Which is a really nice defensive play here from TheCowness. To make Dark lose some turns. One thing you have to be a little careful of is, yeah, if he is in the sky, you won't be able to reach him with your attacks either, so it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, but if he does lose the turn, you kind of just need to get to an order that ideally the bear would hit him after he lands, or before he gets blown into the sky by the next geyser. A turn like that, where he lands and then the geyser comes immediately, not quite as helpful. But yeah, this is a very fun, fun strategy. Definitely never seen the Dark fight played out this way. So many geysers. We are doing some decent damage though. I mean, every time the bear is able to do, 250 or 400 damage, that is definitely solid progress. Dark has 4,000 total HP. So when we take off 400, that's like a sizable chunk. And we actually haven't had to use too much healing. 514 damage there. That's huge. It's 1/8 of his HP right in that one attack. Ooh, Giga Slash on the Pump Hoist there. Yep, gonna go ahead and heal that with a leaf. The geyser technique is currently working. Ooh, another Giga Slash on Pump Hoist there. Not too surprising. With Pump Hoist in the front, we are going to see some of those. So, Firebolt is actually one of Dark's weakest attacks, so that's actually usually pretty nice to see. Kind of using one of his World Dews. He's still got quite a few. Alright, there was a Giga Slash on the bear. That's not what we want to see, so definitely going to heal that up right away. But yeah, DPS is not too bad here. And Confuse misses, that's great. Unfortunately, with the Pump Hoist and no more World Leafs, we do not have the option of replenishing the twin hits. So the really big damage hits from the bear are over, but we did get quite a few earlier, and it was enough. Dark is down and very wet. GG TheCowness. Yeah, Yeti takes the final hit. Very entertaining endgame fight there. With the Pump Hoist, the Yeti, and the Grizzly. Very nice. Alright. So TheCowness is going to kind of go through the end here, play the credits. And yeah, so just to kind of quickly summarize. Pump. We had 6 runners today. Haktical finished in first place. Honobonokyu finished in second. ErrorOfRuto finished in third. Xytoriak in fourth. Crimson in fifth, and TheCowness finishing in a very classy Yeti-filled 6th. Good stuff. Nice geysers from the Pump Hoist. Everyone finishing, yeah, within about an hour. So that's pretty much what I was expecting. And yeah, we saw all kinds of cool different things. Glad that we were able to show off kind of the standard speedrun route there from Haktical and Xytoriak. Some different recovery strats from Error there. And then just totally different routings from Crimson, Kusan, and TheCowness. Recruiting OctoKid, going with Aquarella and even the Pumpoise, and taking that through the endgame versus the more standard Squiz Armorpede route. So that was fun. In these races, it's really kind of an excuse for us to get the different speedrunning communities together with the Japanese runners and English runners, and all kind of just focus on one together here. So since we had so many active runners for Monsters 2, we decided to go with this one. If you saw this and you were like, that looks pretty fun, feel free to join the DQRTA Discord. I just posted it there. You can find resources, you can find a lot of people who are willing to answer questions about the run. There's a link that's pinned in there for the DQRTA compendium that links to a lot of different guides and notes for all the different Dragon Quest games. And, you know, the Dragon Quest RTA community is just really friendly, welcoming, and we do a lot of fun stuff like this event that we had on RPG Limit Break tonight. So I posted the link in chat there for the Discord. We do have an event coming up next month. We have the DQRTA Marathon. So this is something we do every year. This year it is going to be, let me see here, starting on April 10th. And we're running pretty much all of the main series except for Dragon Quest X inside the marathon, and we'll have some spin-off runs as well, like Dragon Quest Treasures. So yeah, looking forward to that. It's going to be a really fun time. It's one of my favorite times of the year when we do the DQRT marathon. It'll be right here on RPG Limit Break channel, so you are already in the right place for that. Yeah. So yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out. Thanks to Haktical and Error for popping into chat and talking for a minute there. That was fun. And let's see here. Let me hop back over here really quick and get some music going. Where is my tiny Winamp? There it is. Okay. So, you know, one last thing I wanted to mention, of course, is this week we had the news that Akira Toriyama passed away. And, you know, games like Dragon Quest Monsters obviously would never have existed without Mr. Toriyama. I look around my room, I have so much artwork from him right here next to my desk and on my bookshelf. And has always just been an artist that I've admired, and I think so many of us have just kind of had be a part of our lives. For me, you know, ever since I was a kid, with Dragon Quest and Dragon Ball, Chrono Trigger. So, means a lot to so many of us in the RPG scene. And so, yeah, just, you know, since today we are playing a Dragon Quest Monsters game, really all about the the things that Akira Toriyama has made for us. So, of course, all of our gratitude for everything he made for us. Yeah, with that, I think we'll go ahead and find a place to take the stream. And again, just thank you everybody for hanging out with us tonight. This is a fun race. Excited to be able to show off Dragon War Monsters 2 speedrunning and just Dragon Quest speedrunning generally. Let's see. I like to, when I can, after the community races, find a Japanese speedrunner doing a Dragon Quest game, and I see one right now actually, so I know the perfect raid target for us. We are going to raid 871san, who is a Japanese runner, active in the community, has participated in our Dragon Warrior 4 international community races, and he is currently doing a Dragon Quest Monsters 3 speedrun. So this is the new one, the Dark Prince, that came out pretty recently. If you haven't seen runs of it yet, this is a great place to check it out. So definitely encourage you to check out 871san. Good friend of ours in the Dragon Quest speedrunning community. And yeah. Thanks to RPG Limit Break for letting us host the event here, as always. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Poexel, for supporting DQRTA community as always. And yeah, thanks everyone else. Hope that you have a great night.